Split toning in Lightroom is great because it's easy to get a high quality result. However, you can get even more advanced results in Photoshop as well as have more control over when the color is applied in the process. You just need to know where to look. For this edit, we're going to use image 8565. I've already processed it in Lightroom. Take a look at the written notes for this course if you want to get the exact slider values to match what I'm using here. The basic idea for split toning in Photoshop is to add some sort of a color-based layer. Let's start by adding a solid color layer, and we'll use a warming value like an orange or yellow. Click OK, and it's been set to soft light mode by default in Lumenzia, which means it's going to apply its color throughout the image here in a very nice and natural way. You might alternatively look at something like the overlay blend mode for different results. I think soft light's our best option here. Now at this point, we've toned the entire image. Split toning means we need to apply it selectively to highlights, midtones, or shadows. To do that, we'll need some form of a luminosity mask. We could go ahead, click on Lights 3, click on Mask, and now we've created split toning to warm the sky through that mask. The downside of adding a luminosity mask, though, is twofold. One, it increases the size of the file. We've already increased by 70 megabytes with this file. And secondly, in this mask, there may be dust spots, I see them already, or other things where we go back and fix the underlying image, which would invalidate this mask and require some rework. A much better approach is not to use a luminosity mask as a layer mask, but instead to use blend if. If we double click to the right of the name on the layer, we can use the underlying sliders in order to control where the effect is applied. The easiest way to do this with Lumenzia is to go over to the blend if under mode and now just click on the various tones you want to apply. So if we click on Lights 3, we'll get the same result we got a moment ago, but created as a blend if. Now I'd want to further refine this, so we can try different values. Lights 4 I think is a little more selective, and we can see that that result is applying nicely in the sky here, but I probably want to use a different color. So I can double click this color, and I want to change the hue, maybe make it a little bit more red to match the existing sky. And now we've got this adjustment, which I think is a little bit more natural result, but it's very clean and easy to change the color, where it's applied in the image, or the opacity. Absolutely have a high degree of control here with this sort of adjustment. We could also go and tone the shadows. Maybe we want to cool them down. To do that, let's create another solid color layer. Let's grab a blue color, click OK, and we'll apply it to, say, darks 3. That's too much. Maybe darks 4. I think darks 3 was hitting the darks, and now we can just back off the opacity significantly to maybe 20% or so. And now you can see before and after that cooling effect. You can even go lower. So definitely use the opacity to get the amount you want. So we pick the color we want to adjust, using the blend if to target the range of tones, and then finishing by setting the opacity to get the overall amount of effect. But you can see with just these two simple layers, if we option click our eyeball on the bottom layer, we've warmed the sky and cooled the foreground. So we have significant control over color in our image with this approach. Now this is not the only way that we can apply these layers. Let's go ahead and get rid of these. And instead of using a solid color layer, we can alternatively go and use a color balance layer. If we click on that, now we'll have the ability to do multiple different color variations. We could warm things up with a little bit of red and a little bit of yellow, and of course hitting the sky there. You might be tempted to think that the tonal selection in color balance gives you the control you need. It really doesn't. Let's reset this. Let's go over to the highlights. Watch what happens when you increase the reds and the yellows and the highlights. Shockingly, they don't just affect the highlights, they affect everything in the image. It's biased towards the highlights, but it actually affects everything down to very, very dark shadows in the image. So until you apply some sort of a blend if to this, you're still going to be affecting shadows. So let's click on our Lights 3 blend if, and now take a look, and you can see how we've very nicely warmed the sky, getting a great split toning result. One of my favorite ways to do split toning is with color balance. I think it just provides a very nice result. You can also play with these options for preserve luminosity. Generally speaking, I don't like the result I get here. A better way to do it is switch the blend mode of the layer to color. And now you get a little bit more control there over where it's being applied. So that's generally the way that I would preserve luminosity. This tool does not actually do what you would think it would when you click that box. Let's go ahead and delete this and take a look at a third option. If you hold over the solid color layer, you can hit Shift and you'll get a photo filter instead from Lumenzia. Or of course, you can just create it down below and go pull up photo filter down here. With a photo filter layer, let's go and kick this up. You get this nice adjustment, and it's already doing a pretty good job of sort of targeting the highlights here, but it's of course warming the foreground, just simply throwing down like a lights 2. Now it's more specifically hitting the sky, or lights 3, to really just hit the sky there and give you more control over where that effect is applied in the image. Lastly, I've been showing you how to use Blend If Under by switching to the Blend If mode. However, the way that I like to do this is actually stay in the preview mode, and you can still get to these results by holding down the Shift key. So let's go and create a color balance layer. Let's go and warm things up. I don't usually bother switching to highlights because these are such loose selections. I find it easier to just adjust most things in the midtones and then apply my Blend If. That also makes it easier when I double click the adjustment. I open up right to the slider values that are adjusted. I don't have to dig around into the other parts of this interface. So now we can apply a lights 3 by holding down Shift, click on lights 3, and you can see we got the Blend If under lights 3 instead of the orange preview layers because we held down Shift. If you hover over the buttons, you'll see a reminder of the shortcut key to do that. I find that that's generally much faster than toggling back and forth with the modes at the top of the panel.